The results will also be accessible online to candidates who sat for the examinations, as well as to authorized personnel through the ZINECDA portal, available at www.zinecdca.co.zw in the morning of Friday, the 23rd of April, 2021. Candidates are advised to click on their respective region, where they will be redirected to the portal on which they can access their results. Please take note that this portal will be open for 5 days only.
Over 50,000 candidates sat for the November 2020 examinations as compared to nearly 52,000 in 2019. The delays in writing, marking, and publication of the results was as a result of the mitigatory measures put in place to curtail the spread of COVID-19. Colette Msanyera, ZBC News, Harare.
Or the no work, no pay ultimatum issued by government on Wednesday has been welcomed by parents whose children are suffering at the expense of teachers who are not reporting for duty.
Almost a year of no classes due to COVID-19, and now comes another threat to the future of school children as some teachers are pleading poverty and not reporting for duty. This has not gone down well with parents who are fully aware of efforts by government to improve their conditions of service.
But here is vakuti hatisikudzidza nekuti mari haisi kukwana ko apa pavambopuwa mari vakagara apa vakadikomborana kuti tiri kungodya mari takagara asi zvinova kuramba dzisaona vedu tobhadhara 5 years yavari kuda ticha yekuti mwana aitiswe malessons wari kubhadhara 5 years ndoanoda kuchikoro every day wangu asina 5 years anonzi uya 2 days
considering kuti vana vedu last year rese rakapera vari pambaka and I think at least they should prioritize kuti at least vana vanofanira kunge vari mumalessons
tivafanira kutoticha vana because vana vasikuenda every day ka.
Zimbabwe Teachers Association ZINECDA President Sfiso Ndlovu had nothing new to say except pleading poverty on behalf of his constituency.
The problem is not about compelling and getting educators back into the classroom, willingly or unwillingly. The issue now is how do we motivate the educators back into the classroom so that they can deliver the utmost service to our learners and to our parents.
The government this Wednesday announced that negotiations for improved conditions of service for civil servants remained open under the National Negotiating Council, while the no work, no pay policy will be strictly enforced.
Cabinet was informed that the number of teachers who are reporting for duty had decreased. It is also further noted that some of those reporting for duty are not teaching the children. Cabinet wishes to reiterate that negotiations for improved conditions of service remain open under the National Joint Negotiating Council, and that the no work, no pay policy will be strictly enforced.
The government continues to employ an engagement approach in a bid to regularly improve conditions of service for civil servants.
In Bulawayo, parents have welcomed the move by government to enforce the no work, no pay principle, following a realization that pupils continue to be inconvenienced by teachers' failure to report for duty.
They are looking at extra lesson. Extra lesson.
Into esimangazayo ukuthi ababalisi laba bebehola behlezi ngekhaya. Ububi balokho asebefuna ukukwenza sokusuka ku-affected thina njengabazali labantwana esibabhadelela esikolo.
Nyayeripo sevabereki vevana chokutanga pachikoro ichi mama-primary schools mamwe ari kudzidza mahlave ari kudzidza but iyi vane chitsotsi
kubuhlungu ukuthi umntana uvuke kuseni umgeza uthola ukuthi uticha kanjani ngakho angcono besitshele kuseselesikhathi ngoba there's grade 0 sabe sibhadala izimali mu-0 A yilo sabe sibhadala izimali zethu uthola ukuthi umntana nesikole kahambi.
Learners in some schools have been deprived of their right to education as teachers fail to report for duty.
Financing gaps towards early childhood development, ECDE, is under the spotlight as primary schools are under pressure to cater for a high number of students with limited infrastructure. Theophilus Juma reports.
A number of schools are struggling with high figures of learners, with some hitting figures of between 50 to 60 students per class. Worrying for stakeholders is the fact that these figures are without corresponding infrastructure.
Financing has been going down for education. But specifically for ECD, if we are looking in terms of how it has been financed, it is actually said that UNICEF recommended that 10% of the education budget should be going to ECD. But you will find that since 2019 budget, it has been sliding.
Consequently, education financing is one of the major topics to be covered during the Global Action Week for Education, which comes within the next 4 days. Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Primary and Secondary Education concurs more should be done.
We have been engaging with the ministry to see whether they could find a way of negotiating the allocation. And of course, these are really young kids, so the infrastructure needs to be supportive.
As part of prioritizing early childhood development, Zimbabwe, through the Zimbabwe Network of Early Childhood Development Actors, ZINECDA, is now working with the National ECDE Coalition of Lesotho, NECDOL, and the Malawi ECDE Coalition to implement a Transnational Advocacy Capacity Building project, TRANAC. The main objective is to develop stronger and vibrant early child development and education in Southern Africa. Theophilus Chuma, ZBC News, Harare.
Now, a recent UNESCO global report has revealed that more than half of learners in sub-Saharan Africa are being excluded from information communication technology-related education due to the absence of electricity and requisite gadgets.
A meeting hosted by the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education and UNESCO in Harare this Thursday deliberated on the findings of the Global Education Monitoring Report of 2020. UNESCO Regional Director for Southern Africa, Professor Hubert Yisen, noted how achieving inclusivity in the education sector remains a challenge in most African countries.
We now start a new program that also includes not only ICTs for the schools, but also renewable energy. And considering that more than 50% of schools in sub-Saharan Africa don't have energy access, this is an important precondition to reach out to the ones most left behind, and that is in the rural, in the off-grid situations.
Chief Director for Curriculum Development and Technical Services in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, Mr. John Dewa, represented the Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Tumsang Tabela, at the meeting.
The Ministry is preoccupied ensuring inclusion in education as espoused in Sustainable Development Goal 4, which seeks to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all.
The subject of inclusivity in education is an emotive one globally, with the major focus on learners with disabilities and their access to critical infrastructure that includes ICTs. Admaya Uni, ZBC News, Harare.
Government has